Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DeLorean Tech and our fourth installment of the KW suspension video series for the DeLorean. In this episode, we're going to walk you through the process of how to fine-tune the ride height as well as the damping on the vehicle while it's on the ground. We just put the new Can Cook Kinergy tires on the car. We've got the KW suspension finished. The only thing left to do is to fine-tune the ride height and the damping on the car and then take it for an alignment. So in this video, we're going to show you how to make those adjustments to the car, and then we're going to talk about a couple things. First of all, the spring isolators, whether or not you need those or can you discard those. The other thing we're going to talk about are the lower control arms and whether or not the spring cup is needed. That's the ring that's welded on the lower control arm. Then we're going to take the car down for an alignment to get a proper alignment done on the vehicle. After that's done, we'll take it out for a road test and show you the KW suspension in action. So without further ado, let's get started. So to make your rebound adjustments on the suspension while it's on the car, all you got to do is just jack up the car a little bit so you can get your hand in here. Obviously, if your car is sitting a lot lower like mine is now, where you can barely get one finger in there, you're going to want to raise it up. So I just put a jack under the jack point, raise it up, just enough so you can get your hand inside there. I'm going to go a little bit higher because of the filming. This is where you're going to make your adjustment, right here. So just go to your KW toolkit and grab your rebound adjustment knob, which is basically like a little Allen tool. Go ahead and make the adjustment. This is really all you need. So what you're going to do is just fit the tool over the top here, and it should just drop down inside. There you go. So now it's in. And what you're going to do is, in order to make it softer, you have to turn it counterclockwise. I have it set at 4, so now it's 3, 2, 1, and after that I can't go any further. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it to 3, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm changing from 4 to 3. I would recommend starting off at 2 and working your way up. So I've had it at various points, and it definitely does make a difference when you're driving. So I'm going to run it at 3. I'm going to go ahead and change both sides of the rear at 3. I have the front at 3 currently as well. So I'm going to test that out. So adjusting the ride height here in the rear is extremely simple. In fact, you can do it by hand. So once again, you take your rebound adjustment key and you just loosen up that little set screw right there. Just a little bit. And then you're able to make your adjustments. So in the rear, you can actually turn this by hand. It's that easy. So when you have the vehicle jacked up all the way here, like with the tire up off the ground, you've got no compression here, you can just go ahead and turn that. So in order to lower the suspension, you turn it clockwise, like that. In order to raise it, you just turn it the other way, counterclockwise. So to lower it. So after you're done adjusting your ride height, go ahead and drop the car down, and let's just do a ride height check. So I am sitting at about maybe 25.5 or so. I think I started off at 27. On the driver's side, I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing. Got a little Allen tool here. Just go ahead and put that in. Okay, so I'm going to drop it down from 4 to 3. So I'm going to be turning it counterclockwise. So at the point where I can't turn it anymore, I'll just bring it to 1, 2, 3. There you go. Again, looking from the top, you're going in the clockwise direction. So this is actually lowering the vehicle right here. So you can keep doing that by hand. You'll notice that the lower you go, the less resistance you'll get, because essentially what you're doing is you're separating the top of the shock, or top of the coilover, from the spring perch at the very top of the frame. So you want to keep your vehicle supported by a jack. Make it a lot easier to do this. So here I am checking the ride height. It's about a good height for the rear. So driver's side, pretty much the same thing. Just lift up the car to be able to access the top of the coilover. There's a lot less room to work with in getting the adjustment tool in there. So I recommend raising the car up as much as you can. That will actually generate a little bit of separation in there because the body will flex a little bit away from the frame. So let's go ahead and see if we have enough room to get the tool in there. And if you don't, like I said, you can actually, because it's very close in there. If the car was on the ground, it would be a lot tighter in the space right here. 1, 2, 3. So I have it set at 3. I'm going to drop it down to 2 in the front. So 1, 2. So here I am on the passenger side. Passenger side, for whatever reason, there seems to be a lot less clearance here. So it's definitely harder to get the tool in there. So you just got to make sure you've got the car up as high as you can, and then you're able to get it in. So I'm gonna drop this down. What was that, 3 before? So 1, 2. So I'm going 2 in the front. Okay, so to adjust the ride height of the front suspension, you're gonna want to use the tool. You can't do it by hand, at least not easily. So use the tool. So in order to lower it, again, you turn it this way, which would be clockwise if you're looking down from the top of the coilover. So as you can see, I'm turning the collar with the tool. And to raise the vehicle, you just do the opposite. So once you've got it on the collar, just turn it counterclockwise, and you're raising the ride height. And that's it. Okay, so for the front, we'll go ahead and do a ride height check. So I'm right about 23 here in the front. I think I started off at maybe 24 3/4, something like that. So 23 is probably about good. You probably go a little bit lower than that, but not too low. So the question has come up whether or not you retain the original, or if you have some new ones, the spring isolators that are at the top of the original coil springs in the car. And we've done some research and we've come to the conclusion that they absolutely are needed. Okay, in fact, the purple top hat that comes with the kit was designed to press over the coil isolators. So this is the part that connects to the frame. So this is the top, this is the bottom, and this is the top hat. So as you can see, it actually fits in there perfect. You just press that in all the way around, and there you go. Okay, so what this does is it holds the coil over in place. So definitely keep the spring isolators both in the front and the rear. So one of the reasons why you'd want a spring isolator inside here is because when this purple top hat touches the metal, this could slip around a little bit. Now there is a little bit of an indentation right here, so you can kind of see it from the top where it goes in. But this could theoretically move around still up here. So you want to have that spring isolator in there to prevent this thing from shifting around. Here's what the front spring isolator looks like. They're also called spring insulators too. So basically what this does here is that it just fits right into the top hat. It presses in there like that, and it fits perfect. You can reuse your original ones if they're in good shape. Just check for cracking and check to make sure that it isn't deformed. Even if it is deformed a little bit, you're probably okay, but it wouldn't hurt to maybe get some new ones. These are 40 years old. You can get some new ones from DeLorean Europe. I think actually make some new ones here. So this is what the assembly looks like for the front suspension. So when you're fastening the top hat to the spring isolator, it's not a bad idea to apply some silicone grease to where the top hat is going to touch the spring isolator, so just the bead around here should do it. Just a thin layer of grease around there. On the other side, you won't need to. In the original installation, these are actually glued on to the frame mounts, mainly because when they were installing the coils, these would tend to fall out. There you go, like that. Just go ahead and press it on. It should make pressing it on much easier. And there you go. So for the rears, there is a proper orientation for the spring isolator. So when you put them in there and it seems loose, just turn it 90 degrees to the other way and it will fit snug in there, so it won't be able to move around. Okay, so here is what the spring isolator looks like with the top hat in place. So for the fronts, you can see the isolator in there. So you put the isolator in first if you've taken it out. If not, you can leave it in, but I went ahead and took it out and replaced it. You can leave that in there, or if you've taken it out, you can put that in first, then put the purple top hat in, push them in together, and you're good to go. Another question that came up was, why wasn't the spring seat right here, this ring that's actually welded onto the lower control arm, why wasn't that removed for the installation? And the reality is that the reason why we didn't remove it is because you don't need to. So the only reason why you would actually want to remove this from the control arm would be for appearance. Obviously with the KW system it doesn't serve a purpose, but it is welded on to the control arm here and also here, so you would have to break those welds. I just don't think it's going to be something that a casual do-it-yourself installer is going to do. I also believe that taking this ring off would interfere with the integrity of this control arm, this being an original factory control arm. I just don't think it was worth the effort in taking it off, or to sort of change the original design of this control arm by doing that. It doesn't rub, as you can see. There's plenty of room in here. But yeah, taking this spring seat off the control arm is not required, nor is it done in the majority of the installations with the KW suspension. Another note is the Nyloc nuts that were originally here on the lower coilover mount. Don't reuse these. Go ahead and just get some new ones. You can get these from DeLorean Go. The part number is right there, SP10059. So Nyloc nuts, definitely replace them. The first thing you want to do after you finish your KW suspension installation is to get it aligned. So we're going to hop in the car and take it to the alignment shop, get it aligned, then we'll do the road test, see how it rides. After that, I've driven it a few times. It actually rides really nice. I'm really liking the suspension, but you don't want to drive it too much before you get it properly aligned. Now, I know for a fact that the alignment is definitely out on the car. You can even see it because the car is quite a bit lower than it was originally from stock. So we're gonna bring the factory specifications with us and make sure they align it to factory specifications. So before you take the car to get it aligned, it's probably not a bad idea to remove the air deflector shields beforehand so that the alignment shop doesn't actually have to do that for you and kind of mess around with it. I just took them off, and I'm going to take the car down to the alignment shop without them on. Then we'll take it out for a road test and see how it rides, how it feels, whether or not we need to make any adjustments to the damping. Right now I have it set at 2 in the front, 3 in the rear. We'll see how it feels after we get it aligned, see how it goes. Okay, so we just finished the alignment on this car, and I gotta tell you, it's riding a lot better now, so that made a big difference. Getting the car aligned after a suspension job, absolutely required. The car is not pulling to the right or to the left at all. It's great. The steering wheel is now centered. Before it was kind of crooked. They also tightened up the trailing arm bolts a little bit more. They were a little loose. Straightened out the toe. There wasn't a whole lot they could do with the camber. The camber's not adjustable on the DeLorean. The caster looked pretty good to start with. They did make a little bit of adjustments to that using the DPI lower suspension links that I've got, the support links. So with the ride height adjustability with the KW suspension, what I like the most is if you feel like the car is maybe a little too low, you can bring it back up, and if it's a little too high, you can bring it back down. It's really easy to make those adjustments, as you saw. If it feels a little stiff, you can adjust the rebound settings on the shocks. Basically a night and day difference between this and the stock suspension. Okay, so now I'm looking at my alignment results, and everything checked out okay. I do have about a little over 1 degree of negative camber in the front. Toe is great. Caster is great. The only issue that I have right now is the camber in the rear is about 2.2 degrees negative on the left and 2.7 degrees negative on the right. So I've decided to order some adjustable rear suspension links in order to correct the negative camber in the rear of the car. Okay, so I just got my adjustable rear top suspension links from DeLorean Industries, so I'm going to go ahead and do an unboxing video. I ordered these because the rear camber needs to be fixed, so here they are. You don't need to send in a core for these, as they're newly manufactured. Here they are. New adjustable top links with new bushings. Yeah, this is going to help the negative camber in the back. So what I'm going to do is install these in a future video, and we will see how that works. So the concept here is that you have some jam nuts that you can loosen, and then you just thread out the length of these to either lengthen or shorten, depending on what you need to do. More than likely, it's for the top links, it's going to be that you need to lengthen them in order to fix the camber in the rear. So these can be lengthened quite a bit, as you can see. So quite a big difference there. So yeah, looking forward to getting these in there and getting my wheels straightened out. And last but not least, one of the things I did notice is that the air deflector shield that is installed right there is actually rubbing on the drive shaft. So I put some tape on there and took it out for a test drive, and I did notice that while I was recording the suspension that it was in fact rubbing a little bit. So I'm probably going to trim or notch the air deflector shield in that location, and that should resolve the issue for both sides. Anyway guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions about the KW suspension on the DeLorean, just go ahead and drop those down in the comments, and thanks for watching.